Hello everyone. This is Vivek Raja, AWS AI Hero and AWS User Group Madurai lead. Vanakkam everyone. Today is Sunday morning and great to see a couple of folks joining in. Let us know where you're joining from. It's Sunday 10 a.m. I'm pretty sure that you have all woken up from your sleep and then trying to learn something new on a Sunday morning. That's really great. Uh, Vanakkam, Yogesh, Dilip, and everyone who's joining in. Um, all right, so we're going to do a couple of things today. So, how many of you are aware of something called Build a Skill Sprint that's happening in UG Madurai? So, of course, we're going to talk more about as we go. But before that, we're going to have a short intro about what we do and who we are. So, AWS User Group Madurai was started a couple of years back. We are relatively very new user group, and what we are good at doing is we love reaching out to people from different region and as well as different personas as well. So we have been very active with students, early professionals, and professional as well. So one of the best things that we have been doing is we love listening to feedback of people, especially the developers and learners, and we come up with several initiatives that help them to excel in their career or their learning progress. So one such is what this initiative is about, Build a Skill Sprint. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who are joining today might have been also from an initiative called College Champs Club or Champs program that we call. It is almost as same as what you know about AWS Cloud Clubs, and we have been running a regional initiative of it. So it's scaled up pretty well, and we have been having a lot of colleges working with AWS User Group Madurai to help them to establish AWS clubs inside their college and have peer-to-peer learning with that. So a bit of an intro about what is going to be called Builder Skill Sprint. So the whole motive of us starting this sprint, this particular initiative was not today, but couple of uh, like last year actually. So last year around the same time is where we started this initiative, and this was primarily out of feedbacks that we have got from the user group community. So there has been a lot of meetups happening in a lot of places, whether be it in AWS user groups or in-person sessions and so on. So the learning attention span that takes place here is that, hey, you attend a session and you gather some insights, you see where you can apply in your job, and then you try to do it, and then you go ahead and do that. But relatively, what's the reality is that people tend to forget or tend to not use it very actively, besides very handful of people. But the whole motive that we really found here was that it's not that they dismiss the knowledge, it's about the lack of structure for them to play around and see how they could do it. So when we heard about this feedback is where we came up with an idea with our co-organizers, which is Pobalan and Lokesh, that hey, we should not just let a learning process end with a delivery of a session. It should be a continued process which should help them in either implementation, and also it might also help them very well in the certification. Of course, if you're already preparing for certification, you might be aware that hands-on is the best way to learn for certification. So of course, having a hands-on session is not really useful if you do not know the fundamentals or theory about it. And the best thing that you can learn is from the experts themselves, who are the community leaders and experts in this particular domain. So we fuse these two solutions into one, and making this initiative called Build a Skill Sprint, where we have a session, like for example, today we are in the second week of the month and we are having a session, and we are going to discuss few things around how you could actually build in this particular theme. Today, this February month's theme is analytics. So you will be learning about how you can manage your data and what you can actually do with it. And we are going to pick and understand around, once we learn about it, we are going to launch a second checkpoint. This is a checkpoint one, where these are the sessions. The second checkpoint is nothing but you have hands-on challenge, where we formulate a simple problem statement where you can apply the learnings in your in the project. So in the problem statement, and you have a comfortable 2 weeks to do it, and you can submit back with us to record your submission as well. And during this process, both AWS user group subject matter experts like myself, Pooval and Lokesh, as well as the speakers of today, will be continually available for you to solve any queries that comes along, and you can successfully submit it. And by the end of this month, you have not just learned about what is analytics or how this analytics works on AWS, but you also learned about how to implement it, which is a really great thing that you can take forward with your projects or your certification preparation. So that's a whole motto of we started it. In 2025, we had continuously ran 9 months of this edition covering different themes like analytics, serverless, Gen AI edition, networking, and so on. So, for example, for me, though I'm a good expert in AI and machine learning, I'm not a really good expert when it comes to networking. So that's where I do really lack. Or when it comes to containerization, I'm not a pro in it. I do not know the latest updates, how to apply that. So these sessions, being one of the subject matter experts in machine learning, I do get to learn about the other domains in detail, like networking and containerization. Like one of my best sessions last year was from Zach and Poovalan, where we were talking about all this containerization and everything. So it was a wonderful session. We had a lot of folks joining on that day as well. So this is where you could pick a month and hardly takes 1 2 hours today and another 2 hours to complete your hands-on challenge for the entire month, and you can also become an expert in it. And if you find something amazing for you to come and talk about what you implemented, and we will have the stage for you where you can come and talk about your sharings in the next upcoming meetups, or you can also showcase in our exclusive sessions. So in 2025, coming back to 2025, we had a continuous run of events. We had a lot of submissions from the community members in regular basis, what all the hands-on channels they have completed. And we also had a lot of doubt clearing questions that comes in as well. So basically we had a event on event engagement increasing almost 5 to 10% every single time. And then by the end of the whole initiative, we had almost impacted more than 1500 plus learners in all the other ways, whether be it in the online session today or offline or being part of the hands-on challenges. So we also noticed one more important thing when it happened last year is we had the difficulty go and track about, hey, I have completed this event, how should I showcase it? You have your profile about doing or delivering the stock, but I did not know where to go and log about that. So AWS user group Madurai has been secretly building a platform which helps you to give a complete overview of what you're doing with the community overall. And with this builder sprint coming, you can also log the attendance of today's event, as well as you can also go ahead and log your submissions, and you have a exclusive profiles which shows all your contributions to community, as you say. Today I'm not ready to show you, but you're going to have a launch event very soon, and stay forward to it. And this could be your community portfolio, AWS community's portfolio as well. Of course, we have Builder Center, which also showcase everything. It works very closely with Builder Center for you to work on top of it. So with that being said, we are right now in stage. So we have a lot of folks, and I promised in the WhatsApp group, if you guys are not part of the WhatsApp group, I can will share you the link where we discuss a lot of technical stuff from day-to-day basis and a lot of announcements that come in. And today, before jumping into this event, I have told that, hey, we are going to discuss something quite interesting, and maybe one lucky winner with an amazing answer might get a AWS credits directly from me. Of course, everyone knows today's session is about analytics, but of course, everyone is crazy about the AI stuff that has been happening. So what is the latest projects that you had vibe coded, and what is it about? If you could drop your craziest projects that you've been building using AI IDs that help you to fasten your development process, do drop it in the comment section. And one interesting project might get AWS credits from me directly. So I'll also tell, while people are commenting, I'll also tell what I've been doing as well. So we had a lot of people joining in. Vanakkam, hello everyone. Thanks for joining in. Thanks Space University for joining, and all the other Champs Club will be joining as well. Yes. Yes. So what I've been building. So if you just go ahead and look at my LinkedIn profile, I've been launching a lot of open source projects in recent times, in last 2 weeks. And how many of you have known about something called Claudebot? Uh, Claudebot has taken the entire internet by storm. It's also called Moltball. It's also called the hope or the open source version of it. I mean, this is open source, but the source is called OpenClaw. So what is it about is that you can run a complete agentic system in your local machine, and that will take over your complete system and work for you. It's like a extremely good AI assistant. Of course, it has access to the channels, your emails, browsers, and so on. So you need to understand the technical security concerns that it can do on behalf of you, but but also it's an amazing great assistant. I was able to schedule my Google meetings. It was able to organize my desktop, my files, and I've been doing something really amazing in the past few weeks. So this OpenClaw works on different agentic framework. And though I'm a very big fan of agentic frameworks, where I have been also contributing to Strands agent for a very long time. So what I've been doing is I ripped off the entire agentic framework inside OpenClaw, and I have put out my version of Strands agent. It runs on, instead of running it on its agentic framework, it runs on my agentic framework. All right, so called Strands. So it runs on top of the Strands instead of PyAgent framework, and I have completely reworked the entire source code of OpenClaw for it to do. And community has been loving it. Got a couple of stars in GitHub. People have been trying out to reach out to implement the same. Then what also have been having is that uh, the second one is that I understood there were a lot of class skills or Claude skills that you can see that was not compatible with Strands agents framework. So what I did was I converted the all the 52 skills into Strands tools that you can use. Right now, I have elaborated the Strands tools that you can see. There is one more announcement coming up. Probably it might be up on Monday, so stay tuned for it tomorrow. So stay tuned for it. We have amazing um, projects. Thanks for that comment on the community portfolio. We have Dilip working on some of portfolios, Madurai Mitran, email day planner, and so on. Your Yogesh is building an open source agent framework similar to LangChain. That's really great. I'd love to take a look at it. If it's open source, I'd love to see whether it is right now already available for contributions. I'd love to see that. Aisha is working on drone command, linguistic bridge. Okay, great to see all those coming in. So for today's winner is going to be Yogesh. Quite interesting one, but I'm going to give you the credits once I see that open source available. Prabhu is working on crime detection using AI camera. Quite an interesting work. Now it's time. It's been, we have talked a bit. We have a lot of folks joined in. What we are going to do next is I'm going to invite the speakers, and we're going to start these sessions very soon. So I welcome both Arun and Abhinaya to the stage. So hi Abhinaya. Hi Arun. How are you doing?
Yeah, great, Vivek. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thanks for joining, and looking forward to your talks. Quick intro about what is Arun is doing. Arun is working as he's working in Presidio. He's an amazing expert in data as well. So I've seen his talk in AWS Summit. I really loved it. His talk on the S3, which was really great. I've been a fan of that since his talk in Summit in last year. Abhinaya is your famous community builder. She runs a podcast. She's been very active in AWS Women in Tech user group and hosting events. And also AWS Community Day Chennai is coming, the next one. So do join if you're in and around Tamil Nadu. It's an amazing event that's going to pop up. Abhinay, you can also drop the link in the comment section for people to join in as well. So the registrations are live. You get a lot of people joining in and a lot of experts delivering talks. So do take a chance to go and visit AWS Community Day Chennai. And Abhinay is also part of the driving group of the Community Day. So feel free to do it. And today, the February month is dedicated to analytics. We're going to talk about two main things, which is going to be Abhinay is going to talk about your batch versus streaming data ingestion on AWS, and Arun is going to take over and going to also expand and elaborate more on how you can do smart ETLs with AWS Glue. And we're going to learn two about it. Today is a checkpoint one, so do learn about doing how to pick up, and this will be greatly helpful for your next checkpoint, which is your hands-on session. Do you guys want to say hi? And we're going to get started.
Hey, hi guys, thanks for joining and happy to meet you.
Um,
Yeah, hi everyone. Glad to see everyone has joined on Sunday morning. Yeah.
Great. So we'll start with Abhinaya session. Arun, we will join very shortly. And over to you, Abhinaya.
Yeah. I'm sharing the screen. Give me a minute.
Yes. Yeah, sure. So before we jump into today's session, Abhinay, why don't you introduce what all you do to the community? Of course, we have been already aware of what amazing work you have been doing. And for the folks who have been joining for the first time, why don't you tell them that what amazing works have been doing in this community? Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hi everyone, and yeah, thanks Vivek and Bhupalan for inviting me for this session. And I'll start with my introduction. So I'm Abhinaya. I work as an associate at PwC, and I'm an AWS community builder for a year in the data category. And I also host podcasts. No, I'm not doing it properly, but I was doing a podcast in AWS series. It's like a bite-sized podcast along with one of the community builder. And also, like I host events, online events in AWS Women in Tech Chennai. And we were running a solution architect series as well for the last 3 months. And also I write blogs nowadays, both podcast and blogs. I'm not doing it properly, but I write blogs on big data engineering and as well as with AWS services. It was basically mostly on the open source, but few blogs might be on the AWS as well. So that's a bit introduction about me.
Great. Awesome. And looking forward to restarting your podcast and blogging journey as well. So I've been listening it for a while whenever I get time. So looking forward to see something pick up in 2026 as well. So yeah. And over to you for today's session.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. Yeah, as Vivek has mentioned, there is an AWS Community Day Chennai is coming on March 7, 2026. I'm also a part of core team and Arun as well. So I will drop the link at the last with like discount code as well for this session. So you can register and yeah, you can come and attend the event if you are in TN and as well as out of the TN as well. So before starting a session, so I want to know like, so if an application is generating a terabytes of data, and so whether it needs to be like it needs to be get the insights at once, like in the live or batch in the sorry. So if your application, if you are having an application and you are generating a terabytes of data for an the application, so the data should be appear on the application instantly, or you want the reports at the last, or like throughout the day or and weekly insights. It's completely based on the business needs, right? So that basically it's an LOB needs, as per the customer needs, we will process the data. So coming to the we can take it as an example of the retail shop, and the retail shop is across the India, like 6 to 7 branches were there. So the manager needs to seize the reports at every morning. So this is a batch processing, okay, like total sales and total revenue of the day or a week. So he will see this as an insights on his application or on his email, or it will be on the batch processing, like it will be totally throughout the day what's the total revenue and total sales of each city, and he will get the insights through a mail or in their application. Like he will review at every morning. So what it does is, so it will collect the data for the entire day, and then it will process it, and then it will deliver to the respective manager at the early, like every morning. So it is a batch processing. It is collecting the all the data throughout the day or throughout the week, and then it is processing some logic, and then it is delivering to an respective member. So this is a batch processing. When coming to the streaming, so you can take the example as Google Pay. So you are paying for a merchant, or you are paying for a person, mobile recharging, everything you are doing instantly, right? So like it is debiting from your account, and what if like you are checking the balance and it is not reflecting, so you have debited for 3,000 or 4,000 a week, so it is not reflecting in your balance. So what you will get, it's not an basically a good system, right? So what it does is you need the insights at instantly, right? So like or the 4,000 debited, how much balance you are having in your account, so it needs to be instantly, right? It should be processed instantly. So here comes the streaming process. So basically the difference between the batch and the streaming processes, batch will collect the data all at once, and then it will process for the logic, and then it delivers. And for the GPay, like for a streaming process, you can take it as a GPay as an example, on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. These are all the running under whatever the application, live streaming application you are using day to day. It will be processed instantly, and you will get the recommendations as well, the product recommendations in Amazon, Flipkart, whatever, based on your patterns, right? So these and all processing in the back end instantly. So this is a difference between the batch and the streaming process. So what the factor it is driving? There are two decision drivers. Like it is why the business or LOB is going to be choose a batch processing or live streaming. This is driven by the two decision factors. One is the data volume, and then data velocity as per the business needs. Okay, the data volume might be a GB or MB of data, gigabytes or terabytes of data. So the data velocity is the speed of the thing, okay? Speed, like how much speed it is generating. So these are the two decision factors. It is driving the business to choose whether it is need for the batch processing or the streaming processing. So, so today my session is going to be like a touch base on batch versus streaming data ingestion and processing on AWS. So I will touch base on the AWS Glue, and then Kinesis as well. So I'm starting with the batch processing. So what's a batch processing really do? It's an ETL, right? So we are going to get the data from different sources of application, whether it might be a database, whether it's might be from the file shares, or whether it might be from the like application. So IoT, the different streams of data might be there. So for example, bank is processing a transaction, and then the requirement is to get the insights throughout the day, or throughout the day what's the total transaction happen in this place. Okay, so what it does is store, it might be in the S3 file. Okay, S3, it is having all the transaction, and what the batch processing do is, first it extract the data what it needs. It filters the data, what are the data we are having in the S3, it will extract it, and then what the next process, it will processing the files, whatever the data present in there, right? The total transaction, or what's the maximum maximum sales for each product. It will be like based on the need we will transform the logic. So on the processing is a logic. You can code it in the Python or PySpark. The processing might be in the coding logic, and then it will be stored in the end. It might be in the Redshift or S3, RDS. So the destination, it might be in the source, like destination source, what you are going to sync it up with. So this is the batch processing. So it will be in the periodic schedule. For example, like you might get a LinkedIn notification, right? Like your post got this much of impression, and you have a comment on your post, and that way you might get a notification. So it won't be an, like it might receive in your email like every morning, or weekly once. In that way it works, right? So it's basically a periodic execution schedule which is working behind. It will collect the data from your profile, and it will extract, and then it will give your analytics. This is a batch processing flow. And the next thing, what is the key characteristic of the batch processing design, right? So the first one, it's an ease of use when coming to the AWS Glue, right? So it's flexible to design, and it supports no code, like low code development as well, and it's a serverless execution option, and as well as it's a simplified data integration. So what is the four things are like, you can able to, it's a drag drop, that there is a Visual Design Studio which is available in the AWS Glue. So what it basically does is, so it is having a three steps. Okay, so one is the extract, one is transform, and one is the destination thing. Okay, so when you are giving the extract, it's a drag and drop, and it will suggest you what's the source you want to choose it. Okay, so for example, RDS, you can choose it, and it might be S3 or whatever the source you want. It will suggest the list of sources over there, and you want to choose it. And coming to the support low code and no code development, so there is a transform. It is having, I think, 20 to 25 plus supported inbuilt coding transformation logic over there. Example, detect the schemas, and find the duplicates, and find the duplicates of the records, and sensitive datas, and as well as these are the things which is having in the Glue. Like it's like you can drag and drop over there which transformation you need, and then you need to configure those things in the configuration. What do you need to filter it out in that way? So it's like kind of, you don't need to code it. When you're drag and drop, it will be automatically coding in the back end with the Apache Spark. So, and then the third thing, serverless execution option. So you don't need to worry about the back end, how much DPUs are processing, or how much compute it is utilizing. Okay, so whenever you are running the job, it can scale up and scale down based on your data. And you don't need to worry about the configuration of which instances you need to use. It will taken care by the AWS Glue itself. It is having a serverless execution option. So the fourth thing, data integration. So you can able to integrate with multiple data integrations, in the sense like there will be a built-in data sources available over there, like as I said, like RDS or S3 or external sources of data sync. You can do the data sync, and in this way you can able to do the batch processing efficiently. And the data volume and velocity. So it should be designed to handle large volumes of data. So for example, if you are having 2 to 3 terabytes of data, how it is splitting the DPUs behind this scene. Okay, so in context of the AWS Glue, it will do the split up of the, sorry, it will split up of the DPUs or CPU utilization. In the it will take care of the splittance of the uh, like uh, uh, sorry guys, once again. Yeah, So when it comes for the handling the large volumes of data, so it will take care of the CPU, the resources which is going to utilize, and the splittance of the nodes. I can say data nodes behind the scene, and it will suitable for periodic workloads as well. And orchestration, when it's come for orchestration, right? So workflow creation and job dependency. So for example, the first job which you are creating, job in the sense, so whatever the ETL you are creating, right, this is a job, and the next job you are creating for another transformation, and the next job, the three things are in parallel. And so second node, the second job is dependent on the first job. It should execute, and then the next thing will execute, and then the next goes. In this way it works. So it is a dependency of the jobs, and it can be created in the workflow creation in the AWS Glue Studio. There is an option of workflow, so you can go there, and then you can, whatever the job you created, right, you can do the dependency of the jobs, and then you can able to orchestrate over there. And the second comes of supports for job bookmarking, so incremental loads. So job bookmarking, it will be covered in detail with Arun. So bookmarking in the sense of whatever the data loaded today, like 10 rows of data, you can bookmark, and then the next day you have the 20 to 30 rows of data adds on. It only process the next 20 to 30 rows. So it won't do from the scratch. So because if you're going to do from the scratch, right, it is going to use more DPUs, and it will cost high cost billing. So it will do like only the new sets of data, and then it will process, and then it is going for the analytics. So when you come to the alerting on job failure, so whenever one job is it is having a dependency, okay, so when the first job is failing, okay, it will alert you to the respective team that your job has failed, and what are the errors, and the logging and the monitoring capabilities are as well included with the logs you can send to the respective team for debugging. So this is orchestration and monitoring, the third characteristic. And the fourth one, the scaling and the cost optimization. So in this AWS Glue, right, so it enables auto scaling and distributed parallel processing as well, and the pay as you go pricing model. So how much data you are processing, based on that, like 4 TB of data, okay, example 4 TB of data is there, so it is going to use like 16 to 17, 18 DPUs. It will be only costing for that. And then the next day you are processing like 4 GB of data only, like instead of terabytes of data, so it will reduce to the 1 DPU. So and then only it will cost for the amount of data which you processed on that day. So in this way the scaling and cost optimization works. And basically the distributed parallel processing is about so it is the AWS Glue, right, so it is built on top of the Apache Spark. So it will be it is having a name node and then data node as well, four different data nodes, and each node is capable of 128 MB of data. It can able to hold and process it, and then the same goes for the other name node as well. So basically the name node is, it's kind of an index which data which data node is having, and it will be split to the four different data nodes. Means the name node will know, okay, which data is in which data node, and then it will process, it will be it will write back to the name node as well. So it is kind of the parallel distributed processing. So AWS handle itself because it's built on top of the Apache Spark. And that's it about the key characteristic of the batch processing design. And coming to the data sources and ingestion option, right? So the first thing, so you might have the legacy kind of application, okay, you want to migrate the entire data to the AWS. So you have the data sources, you have the DMS, you can able to, it's kind of a plugin type of thing, you want to configure everything with what's the your source database, and then you want to migrate though to which destination it is. So DMS is one of the thing. You can one of the AWS services. You can use it for the ingestion purpose and the data sync. Example, you can have the CSV file. You want to do it to the S3 for like your entire enterprise is having it. You can do the data sync and then you can load it to the Amazon S3. And the third thing is the third party data sets are having, and you want to exchange to the S3. So today, like I took the example of those, these are the options available in the ingestion of AWS services. You can use it to migrate to the S3, AWS. And most probably every enterprise use S3 for the at the behind the scene to store all the data. So it can able to, it's in serverless, and it can hold large amounts of data as well. For each and every application, it will be then S3 at the back end to store all the data. Even if you go for the RDS, and then it is having the each column, for example, image, it is it is storing in one of the columns. The back end, it will be stored in the S3 only. So coming to the how AWS Glue simplifies a batch ingestion process, right? So example, it will be in the data sources. Data sources, it can be an S3, and then then the AWS Glue will come to the screen, and then S3. So the processed layer, for example, I'm taking the S3 to S3. So AWS Glue, what it do basically? Okay, for example, you are having a JSON or a Parquet file or CSV, whatever it is in the S3. You have uploaded the file over there, and it is doing the schema identification, and then data cataloging and detail orchestration and monitoring, and these are the four things it is doing. So what is a schema identification? So for example, the CSV file is having a 7 to 8 columns. First it identify what's the schema it is. Okay, for example, ID, it is an int, and then it comes for name, it's an varchar. It will identify the AWS Glue itself. In the console itself, you might have the option of crawler and the data cataloging. So what the crawler do, it will get the source, and then it will analyzes it, and then it will do the schema identification, and then it will store it in the Glue database as a table. This is what the process do, and then comes for the ETL processing. So you can ask me, right? So why don't I can directly source the source from the S3 and processing it? So basically it depends, right? So for example, two to three CSV file might have the different pattern, and then the next CSV file which is arriving might have the different pattern. What the data cataloging do is it basically identifies whether there is a schema drift happened in the source, and then if it is, it will notify the developers. So it has happened in this, it has had it is having extra columns, or it is changed the data type, like the specific columns in the name, it is having the integer value. So it's basically identifying the schemas, and then it will logging to the data catalog. So it is basically, you can assume that index of the book, it is having which column belongs to which data type. So monitoring, it enables monitoring as well, and then you can do the ETL orchestration throughout it, and you can able to do the workflow as well. So you can make the workflow as an, so if you are having a source, and then if you have 4 to 5 jobs in depend with each other, you can able to orchestrate one after another to complete it. So the schema discovery and metadata management, right? So when it coming to this, so the data sources, it is having a data source here is in the S3. You are having a CSV file or Parquet file. So what basically the AWS Glue crawler do, you want to configure in the Glue crawler which data source you want to choose, and then which is the source you want to crawl, and then where you want to file it. Okay, so the glue crawler will analyzes the data and derive the schemas over there, and then it will put the data catalog over there. Okay, so example, the student like there is a student CSV file, so it is having a 7 columns, and then it is the respective data types. So for example, name, varchar, and then ID, the integer, and then it might have the marks as an integer. So in this way, it will catalog each and every columns, and then it will do the cataloging over there. And this is the way the schema discovery and the metadata in the sense the schema, the column names, and then what's the data type it belongs to. That's what the schema discovery and metadata management will do with the help of the glue crawler. And so why this glue crawler is needed? So okay, suppose you want to query that in the Athena. So the next day, the developer wants to know like specific like rows need to be filtered, and then you want to filter it out. The metadata will be the like this metadata management will help you over there. So you can go to the Athena, and then you can choose the schemas which you want, and then it will only have the schema only over there. Okay, so the data will sit on the S3, and only you want to choose the data catalog which you want to query, and then you can query easily over in the Athena. So this is the way it works, the schema discovery and the metadata management. And then it comes to the serverless batch processing with the AWS Glue. As I mentioned earlier, like the AWS Glue is built on top of the Apache Spark. It supports, I think, one is Scala, one is Apache Spark language to code over there. And what you do is like whenever the ingestion and all happen, the data catalog is over, and then you come to the AWS Glue. You want to write the code, what you want to be logic. Okay, like example, you are having the first name and last name in the sources. You want to combine it as only your full name over in the destination. Okay, so what you do, like you can concatenate each other, and then you will process those, and then load it in the destination. So this is how it works in the, it is a fully managed and the serverless thing. Like AWS Glue is a fully serverless like AWS service. You don't need to worry about the resources which you are utilizing over there. And it supports Scala and PySpark to code over there. And also like why the PySpark it comes to be, it can able to do the parallel processing better. So we are using the PySpark over there to convert those data to the destination. This is how the serverless batch processing with AWS Glue works. And so the scaling consideration of batch processing, right? The one is horizontal scaling, and then one is the vertical scaling. So, for example, you are having horizontal scaling in the sense it's an you are adding resources. Like for example, you are having a 128 MB of data as one data node. You are adding like 4 to 5 data nodes over there. That's just called the horizontal scaling. When it comes to the vertical scaling, you are increasing the size, like the worker type. We call as an worker type in the AWS Glue. So you are increasing the worker type like G1, G01, 2, like and 4. In this way it works. The compute resources it's going to increase in this way. So horizontal scaling, for example, you are having an 4 GB of data. You want to split up to the 4 different nodes. You want to do in that way. It's a distributed parallel processing. And the vertical scaling in a sense, so for example 1 GB of data, but your compute is not capable to do the 1 GB of data. Okay, so it's capable to do the 500 MB of data at once. You can scale up that compute and memory over there, and this works in the vertical scaling. This is a difference between the horizontal and vertical scaling, which comes in the batch processing as well as in the streaming as well. So it is increasing the size of the instances, and it adding the more instances over there. So these are the two things which we should consider for the scaling when it comes to the batch processing. So a trade-off on file size compression techniques. So when it comes to the small files, right? So suppose like we have in the source like 100 to 200 files over there, okay? But each file is processing each time, like each file is processing the ETL, and then it is saving it in the like destination. So it is going to be the increase of S3 calls, and as well as the computer is having capable of doing 4 GB of processing, but it is doing like 200 300 of MB of data. It's kind of an overhead to it, okay? So it is having a capable, but it is only doing for the small files only. So it is like an overhead to it, so you can do the bulk processing and then load it to the destination. When it comes to the Parquet and snappy compression, right? It is capable of parallel processing and cost optimization as well. So for an example which I told, right? So it is an like when an resource is capable of doing 4 GB of processing, so and you can able to split up the data node like for each 4 GB of data, and then you can able to, when it comes to Parquet, it will do the columnar wise processing, okay? So instead of doing a row wise processing, it will take the column which we need to do the conversion, and then it will load it to the destination. So in that way it is able to do the processing better, and then the querying will be faster in the Parquet. So this is the way you can choose the file size and compression technique in the AWS Glue, and it won't be a poor deep utilization. Suppose for an example, if you are having the compute as an compute and memory as an like a big resource, okay? So but you are doing the small file transformation, so it is going to be like poor deep utilization, right? So you want to choose the data sources in the efficient way, and then you do the processing, and then you can load the data. This is the way the file size and the scaling technique works in the disk glue. And when it comes to the real time processing, right? Whatever we have discussed, it is in the batch processing. You are going to get the data all at once and then process, and then you are going to load the data in the destination. And when it comes to real time, right, it should be like each click, okay? Example, we are clicking the data, it should be record as an event, and then it is considered as a stream, and then it put the records, and then it process, and then the real time analytics comes, okay? Each and every data you are generating in the live streaming application, it will consider as a records, and then it will process the record, and then it will go for the processing based on the ID. So for example, you are generating a 4 different events, okay? Consider you are posting an post, and then you are liking, and then you are commenting. These four things will be considered as each event, and then it will have the IDs over there, okay? So it might having ID1, ID2, ID3. It will process based on that, and then it will go for the real-time analytics. This is how it is. It will consider for the real-time streaming. So it will have the producer in the sense which application it is streaming, right? So it will consider as a producer, and consumers are the one which is going to process the data. So whatever the producers are sending the data as a records, and the consumer, like for example 4 to 5 consumers are there, so each consumer is assigned with some task, okay? So for example, you are going to total counts of the likes, and the first consumer might have the subscribe to those, so it will go to that consumer, and then it will process those, and then it will go for the real-time analytics. This is how the real-time streaming works. And so the key characteristic of the streaming process design comes to the throughput. So it can high volumes of continuous data it is handling. So it should be on it should be on live streaming of data, like whatever the speed of data, and it should be get to the consumer instantly. The high volumes of continuous data efficiently, it should handle the high volumes of data and loosely coupling. So whatever the producer is generating the data, right, it won't be dependent on the consumer. What it do is like it is generating the data, and then it is loosely coupled with the consumer. It is independent. It will generate, and then it will put it on the shard, and then it goes for the consumer. Okay, so it don't depends. Okay, consumer needs to get the data until I'm going to wait. In that way it don't works. Without waiting for the consumer, it will send the data, and then it will go for the next process. Okay, so this is loosely coupling between the producer and consumers, and parallel consumer. As I said earlier, like it might have the parallel like many consumers over there to process the same stream. So it enhances the scalability, it ensures scalability and reliability as well. And checkpoint, here comes the reliability. So for example, 4 to 5 events are happening, and two of them are success, and like three of them are like had some failure. It will go for the checkpoint periodically. For example, 10 to 20 seconds it does a checkpoint, and then in case of any failure, it will reprocess and then reconsume from the point which it has failed. So this checkpointing and replay option will ensure the reliability of the data. It won't miss and then processed. So when it comes to the kinesis architecture flow, right, as I told earlier, it is from any kind of application, it is generating the record, and then it will based on the partition key. Each record which is generating from the application, it will have the partition key, and it will go to the shard. So it is a streaming of application which is going to the whatever the producers are sending the data, right, it will go to the shard, and then with that shard it will be go to the consumers. Okay, in this way the flow works. So the shard is the main component of the kinesis streams. 1 minute.
Yes. Meanwhile, so there is a lot of other. Okay. There is a lot of other amazing stuff that goes with Kinesis as well. So we have looked at what is batch processing. Basically, I have used them mostly in log processing, but of course there are dedicated tools like ELKs and everything that you can use for log processing. But when it comes to Kinesis or streaming, this is where you use it when there is millisecond or less amount of data transfers that comes from huge amount of things. So like for example, you can think about IoT solutions where huge number of IoT devices deployed on field stream data at the same time over the stuff. So here is where you try to manage it with the namespaces and partition key, and then try to see where the thing comes from. So it basically acts in a producer consumer mechanism. So producers produce in a specific namespace format that they wanted to produce to, and consumers try to just read from that particular thing, and the broker tries to enable that transaction properly. The best case, the biggest advantage of this is that neither the consumers nor the producers do not know about the context of each other, which means like the consumer would not know how many producers are there, so does the producer doesn't know how many consumers are there. This is quite excellent way to architect your microservices to keep dependencies and lex contextual aware. So if you guys actually know, there is like for fraud detection, and many of you might be playing this large multiplayer online games, right? Like how many of you are playing here like games like PUBG or online GTA and everything. And whenever you do some action, does affect the other player in the same field, right? So have you ever thought that how it could be able to transfer this amount of data over a thing? This all works basically with the help of this streaming architectures And in background, if they use AWS, is definitely the Kinesis which comes into the picture. And the thing is, it's not just that in Kinesis, let's assume the producer is not able to read the data. Uh, it's not just that the data is lost. The Kinesis, of course, allows the consumers to go back and replay some of the data if they even missed to process or they wanted to process it later as well. So in this way, it also helps. And also, we know that the partition key actually helps to understand where this data goes into which shard, and this solely helps into keeping the data with respect to shard to process it much more efficiently. And you can also determine how to send it to which partition, so that you can also have a context of what data is going where for the consumer to consume it. So yeah, we have the expert back again, I think, to pick up from where we have left. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks Vivek for explaining. That's what I want to explain it also. Like when it comes to the partition key, right? So like for an instance, which we are having a different like 3 to 4 events over there, and it is having ID1, ID2, ID3. In that way, it will be sequenced, and then the whatever the consumers is going to consume, right? The consume like it's getting the data, right? So it will consume in the order, in the sequence, in the sequential manner. It will be processed and then it will be delivered to the destination. In that way it is going to work, the architecture is going to work. So with that I will end up this session. It is going to like I had an introduction of this AWS Glue and then Kinesis as well. So Arun will take over to the hands-on with the AWS Glue and then with the bookmarking as well. And so, as I told earlier, AWS Community Day Chennai is happening on March 7th. You can scan it and you can register for it. And I will give you the coupon code as well. So now there is an early bird ticket is going on. If you want to super early bird, or like if you want to grab a super early bird ticket, I will put it on the chat. I think like I put the chat here. Like, can you paste it over there? It is going to be a one-day full event of 3 tracks and on hands-on workshop as well. So you can able to meet many people over there from AWS and then different organization. It will be a good platform for networking.
Yes, AWS Community Days are really excellent. Yeah, as Abhinay said, it's a one-stop place for meeting experts. You can deep dive into several tracks of your liking and your expertise as well. You have booths from companies, you have community leaders, and you have professionals, experts of all levels. So that's a great place for networking and learning for an entire day. So I think Abhinay, it's on Saturday, right? March 7th.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
Saturday.
So yeah, most of us are always free on Saturday. So it's an excellent day to just hop in and learn. I'll be mostly trying to be there, so we can also say hi if you come and meet there as well. So I mean, it was a wonderful session. I have also a couple of questions. Though myself being one of the active users of not right now, but in some couple of months back and so where I was working on a couple of use cases, ETLs is I've been using ETLs, both batch processing and stream processing. So we have a couple of questions for us to take. The few were comments and statements, but I'll just pick up a few important questions that we could answer right now. So Yogesh is asking when and why would we need to choose AWS Glue over EMR for batch ETL in real world scenarios?
Okay, uh, great question, Yogesh. So I will take to answer. I will answer the question. So AWS Glue is serverless. You don't need to worry about the complex sources you want to choose. So only you are going to code over there and processing it. So coming to the EMR, so you want to, it's echoing for me.
Yeah, it's echoing a bit, but yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to IMR, right, so you want to choose which instances you want to you are going to choose, like you are going to go ahead with, and as well as you want to configure the language, and you want to write the logic, and you want to go for like choose a destination. So the EMR works. It's kind of you want to configure it all. In the EMR, and if you come for AWS Glue, it's kind of an low code platform that you can use it for.
Yep,
And
that's a solid answer. I think Yogesh, that answers your question. This is one of my questions as well. Not just a question, I think this would put an insight for people as a thumb rule to choose what and when, right? So, when we deal with large data sets, would you recommend having horizontal scaling strategy or vertical? Or what's a thumb rule in terms of data size and the scaling strategy?
okay, so when it comes to terabytes of data, right, usually it will be go for the vertical scaling instead of horizontal scaling instead of vertical scaling. That works. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, I think that's a good thumb rule as well. And yeah, a few couple of statements people were actually talking about how they use it, and I've been also using data catalog to understand how schema changes go. Yogesh has also been trying to understand how Kenes has been working and where it is being used. There's one question that came at last. So what happens if the consumer fails in a Kinesis? Um, would we be, maybe if I wanted to add more context to that question, is that in this, when we have consumers and Kinesis which tries to read the data, and some at some point of time either the consumer fails, what happens to the data is, if the consumer comes back live, would it be able to read the data which was missed by it? Or the second scenario is where if I attach another consumer, would it be able to retrieve the same old data the previous consumer was reading?
Yeah, that's where the checkpoint and replay comes to the picture, right? So wherever it fails, and then the next consumer, it is going to get the failure, and then okay, for example, we had told about the tracking IDs, right? So it can able to which the ID has failed, and then it can able to get back to the track to process and like go for the part. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And
Okay, so amazing session. I also happened to learn and brush up a lot of concepts with you. I'm also looking forward to see how I could apply in the upcoming hands-on challenge. Thank you for that. And we'll also, for people who wants to look at the presentation or the information, we'll be soon sharing that with you guys. We'll let you know how you can access it later. And thanks, Abhinaya. That was a wonderful session, and thank you for being with us to deliver this session on a Sunday morning. Great learning, and looking forward to see you soon as well.
yeah, thank you, Vivek.
And guys, do not forget uh, going to AWS Community Day Chennai, which is happening next month. It's a great opportunity. Go ahead and meet some folks. We have a special discount coupon here, discount 599. I'm not sure if the coupon code is discount and it gives you a 599 token or the entire thing. Do try out both. I'll also try it and let you guys know. So yeah, see you guys in AWS Community Day Chennai. Now we are going to jump to the next session. We are going to even more deep dive to understand how are we going to use job bookmarks and so on. And for that, we are bringing up Arun Kumar onto the stage. Hi Arun, how are you doing?
Hey, hi, Vivek. Good morning. I'm doing good.
Awesome.
It
Yeah,
was thanks for hosting me today, Vivek. It was great to connect with the peoples from the Madurai user group. Thanks for giving me an opportunity. It was great to be part here.
we are really happy to have you here. And Arun, why don't you tell what you do on day-to-day basis and what I've been doing to community as well, so people get to know more about you.
Yes, Vivek. So my main motive is generally apart from the regular works, I generally involve with community and involve with college students actually. So involve with community and keep them, make them to. I will share the knowledge what I had and also brainstorm on what the things they did. It made me to think on multiple perspective. Even I was thinking on single perspective, but connecting with other people's would make me to think on some other perspective. That's a great thing when I am interacting with the community. And also apart from that, I'll also interact with blogs as well with the people. I'll just share my knowledge through the blogs so that people will interact with me over the blogs channel as well, Vivek. Soon I'm planning to start a kind of a video, a YouTube video channel for sharing the contents, but it's maybe I can post the updates in future maybe about it.
Perfect. Awesome. I'll also relay your updates back to our user group, and I'm pretty sure they'll be all excited today. Yes, and you're doing amazing work. Today we are going to jump much more detail to understand about how you can actually use job bookmarks to see how this recent data, how the data is being changed while we are using AWS Glue, how we need to understand the new and updated changes in the data, and how we could efficiently process it. So that's going to be the aim. I'm sure, is that right?
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
perfect. Great,
Yeah,
and looking forward to learn. And even I wanted to brush up a lot about around job bookmarks. I'm going to stay tuned and listen to your session. And over to you.
absolutely, Vic. Thank you so much. Let me share my screen. Let me know once you are able to view my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible? Yeah. So, okay, guys. So today our topic is the smart ETL. We are going to see
Yes,
how we can.
just one thing. Can you make it like a slideshow because we could
Yeah,
see the. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
perfect.
Yes.
Yes, yes, we have it. Awesome.
Uh,
Over to you.
Sure, Vivek. So today our topic is a kind of a smart ETL, how we can leverage AWS Glue bookmarks in our day-to-day jobs. So before moving on to the session, let me introduce myself. So myself, Arun Kumar Nagraj, working as a lead data engineer at Presidio, and I'm an AWS community builder. I have around 10 plus years of experience, and I'm a cloud, big data, and a blockchain enthusiast. This is a brief intro about me. So what we can do is this is our today's agenda. We'll see, we pretty much talked about what AWS Glue is, and we'll directly get on to job bookmarks, and we'll see how we can handle the incremental data and the batch data on a bookmark enabled job. And we'll also see how we can dynamically handle the worker and worker types. Previously we were discussing about vertical scaling and horizontal scaling, right? How we can dynamically handle it. That is the one thing. And at last, we'll see a demo and we'll open up for a QA questions. Yeah, we'll start with the basics. We talked pretty much these things, but let me start with this what AWS Glue is. If you notice, AWS Glue is a cloud optimized ETL service. It allows us to organize, locate, move, transform all our data sets across the business. Simply, it's doing an ETL extract, transform, load things. Glue is different from other ETL products in three important ways. Let's see what are all those three important ways. First thing is Glue is serverless. There was one question in the previous session. So when we can choose EMR over AWS Glue? Let's say EMR, we need to configure everything. We may need to manage all the things. But when it comes to Glue, we just need to focus on the writing, on writing the business logics. Everything has been taken care by Glue. But when it comes to EMR, we may need to configure, provision the nodes, and everything is on our side. So the Glue is serverless. So we can simply point Glue to our ETL jobs and we can just hit run. We don't need to provision and spin up our server. Certainly, we don't need to manage their life cycle as well. And when it comes to schema inference, Glue provides crawlers with automatic schema inference for semi-structured and structured data sets. And Glue is providing with an auto-generated ETL scripts. When there are there are few ways to create a Glue jobs. We will be looking on the demo. One such way is a visual ETL. When it goes to visual ETL, we just need to, it's a kind of a low code solution. We just need to configure the source, we just need to provision the destination, and this complete script has been generated by the glue itself. So this is what makes a glue different from other ETL products. And when it comes to AWS Glue, we have three types of job in AWS Glue. Like we have Spark jobs, Spark streaming jobs, and Python shell jobs. We had a streaming use case as well. In the streaming things we discussed over there, we can configure a Glue streaming jobs as well using a Spark streaming framework. And apart from that, we have a new runtime has been introduced in the couple of years back, which is an Apache Ray. Apache Ray is also a distributed framework, but our main focus today is going to be a Spark based runtime. So let's move on to our actual topic. Yeah, what is a bookmark? Before moving on to an AWS Glue bookmark, we'll just try to understand what bookmark is. When you Google it, let's say a narrow piece of card, that's it. This is a definition from a Google. Let's say you are reading a 200 pages of books, let's say. It will be really difficult for us to read the 200 pages in a single stretch. So for a first day, I will be reading a 10 page. And when I start from the second day, I will be start reading from the 11th page, stating that I read already the first 10 pages. So similarly, I will be just moving on to the 30th page. It will keep on moving till the book is completed. So this is what the bookmark is. We will be just keeping some card in place of books. This is what bookmark is. Let's move on to what is AWS Glue Job Bookmarks is. This is a definition from Amazon. Uh, this is used to tracking processed data. What all the data got already processed, and what is the new data I need to process today. So this is what definition from an Amazon. On a real time, let's see what it will understand is it just keeps the state information of an ETL job, and it processes incremental data. Before getting on to, let's say you are developing a AWS Glue bookmark enabled job, we need to keep multiple things in mind. As soon as the job has been created, you can see this particular thing. We may need to enable this job bookmark. This is the first thing. And other things we may need to do is we need to use a Glue dynamic frame. We were using Glue dynamic frame is nothing but a Spark's compressed data frame. We can Glue's dynamic frame is uh, proprietary to Glue, but we can see it as a compressed data frame. And we may need to give something like transformation CTX. Transformation CTX is nothing but a transformation context. This transformation context acts as an actual bookmark. It will be keeps track of what all the things got processed, and at last we may need to commit this complete job. So these are all the four things we may need to keep in mind when we are designing a job bookmarks in any AWS Glue. Moving on to the next slide. Yeah. So handling incremental and batch data. Moving on to the book scenario. We added 200 pages of books. So I am the one who is reading now. And also another guy is also reading the same book. Okay. So when I started 10 days earlier, now I'm on the 50th page. So when I start reading, I will be starting from 51st page. But a new guy starts after the 10th day. When he sees the bookmark, if he starts from the 51st page, he doesn't know, he doesn't understand the context if I start from 51st page. So to make that, he needs to read from the first page from the start. So it shouldn't be affecting my bookmark state, and also it shouldn't be affecting the other one's bookmark state. So this is the batch data is sometimes in real world scenario when it comes to analytics use case. Let's say I need data from October 1st to October 10th of 2025 data. My job will be processing all the data incrementally. So but there is a request coming from, I need a data from October 1st to October 10th alone needs to be loaded on that particular table. So during that time, how we can handle this particular request in a bookmark enabled job, will it be possible to do it? Maybe just share your thoughts on the comments. We'll understand whether we can enable this and we can possible to do this on a job. But the question is, will AWS Glue handle both incremental and batch data on a bookmark enabled job? Just share your thoughts on the comment. We'll get on to the next slide and you will get an answer on that. Just giving a 10-second pass over here to share to submit your thoughts on it, and we'll see whether how much got right and how much not. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Let's see what's the answer is. What we can do is we can do that. Yes. So I'll be adding a custom parameters. So I will be introducing a new parameters called incremental and a next parameter called ad hoc. So if it's an ad hoc, I'll be getting a start date and end date. For example, in a previous use case, I was just seeing that start date is October 1st and end date is October 2nd. Or October 10th. So I'll be getting the start date and end date, and I'll be passing into this particular custom return method. So even in a bookmark enabled job, we can accommodate this request. We don't need to get into a new job to handle this. Yes, that was the answer. The answer is yes. We can handle both incremental and a batch data for a particular window. And yeah, so coming to a dynamic handling of worker and worker type. How we can handle the dynamic worker? There was one question. I have a TBs of data, whether how I can some days I will be getting a less volume of data, some days I will be getting a huge volume of data. Configuring a glue with a particular worker type and number of workers will make the job to run on that particular threshold every time. So how I can dynamically handle it? So the thing here is I will be again writing a custom script. The custom script will place an handle place a placeholder over here, and on worker types we have four different types of worker type: G1x, G2x, G4x, and G8x. This G.25x is coming on a streaming use case, and standard is for a Python shell job. And we have Z type of nodes as well, which is for an Apache Ray instance. I'm just, since we are pretty much concentrating on a Spark type of workload, I'm just specifically focusing on most of the things we can handle with G1x and G2x itself. Even we don't need to go for a G4x and G8x unless and until it is necessary. So this is the main thing. And yeah, how we can dynamically handle the worker type. This is a piece of a code snippet we handled in one of our customer project. So I will be getting the folder size, and I will be computing the file size in gigs, and I will be reading it on a data frame, and compute the complexity of the data. How I can define the worker and worker type for a particular job. There are three key things we mean. A thumb rule is three different things. One is the size of a data. What's the complexity of the data? Complexity in the sense, how are we transforming the data? In Spark, we have a multiple type of transformation, like narrow transformation, wide transformation. What type of transformations we are applying, whether it's involve multiple shuffling, whether it goes to multiple stages. These things we need to identify, and after that, um, we need to identify whether the data, let's say we have a complex JSON data, it contains multiple structs, multiple arrays. We will be computing into a single key value pair, and based on that we will be assigning the worker type and number of workers. This worker type and number of workers will be coming from a config file. Let's say we may need to set that. For example, let's say if my data is less than 50 GB, go with G1x and 4 number of workers. If my data is greater than 10 gigs, go with G2x and 10 number of workers. So we may need to define that in a custom config file. Based on that, we can dynamically handle the worker and worker type, which will significantly makes my glue job dynamic, and makes the cost optimization technique as well in a glue job. And yeah, instead of getting onto a demo screenshots, what we can do is we can directly get onto a glue console itself. Yeah, let me know if my browser screen is visible. Hope my screen is my browser screen is visible. So what the first thing is, for the sake of simplicity, what we can do is we'll configure our source as a we'll configure source as our S3, and destination is also an S3. We'll try to write an AWS glue job with a bookmark enabled state, and we'll try to run the job now. The job, we are not going to apply any transformation. We are just going to understand the bookmark specification alone here. I'm into an AWS Glue console. So in AWS Glue console, I have a couple of things to notice here. One is a data catalog, and another one is a data integration in ETL. So today we are going to consider. I'm not going to configure any crawlers over here. We are just going to read it from the direct S3 path. And let me get on to an ETL jobs. And on the other side, I'll configure my source location. Let me show you the data first. So these are the two files we have today for today's demo. Let me open this and explain it to you. This is just a sample. This is just a sample file, where sample CSV file. If you notice, I have employee ID, name, department, salary, and last updated. These four files I have, and the other file. If you notice, this file contains 101 to 104. Let's assume that this got processed on 1st January 2026. The file got dropped on S3 on 1st January 2026. There's another file is going to come on 2nd Jan 2026, where I have employee ID 105 and 106. So what we are going to do is, at first we are going to take this particular file and upload this and see what file got processed. And once this file got processed, we are going to upload a second file and going to run a glue job again, and this should be processing this second file alone. So we'll try to see how it is getting progressed. Hope the requirement is clear, and let's move on, and we'll try to configure this. So I have created two files, two directories over here within my S3 bucket. So one is a glue bookmark test. So I have this file already. I just delete this for now. We'll again upload this here. That's great. And yeah, so this folder is for importing my input file, and this is my output folder. The glue processed things will be getting added over here. So on the other side, we'll move on to the glue job. So let me create a new glue job here. This is the thing I was specifying. We can go ahead and use a visual ETL. This is a kind of a low code, no code thing. I have the Amazon S3. This will be as access my data source, and again I can use Amazon S3 again. This will be acts as my destination. I need to configure what's my S3 location and what's my data format, and whether it needs to be recursively taken care. And when you go to additional option, what how I need to sample, I can use a sample file over here. This is a low code, no code thing, but we are not going to go with a visual ETL today. We are just going to go with the actual script editor thing. Let me go on to an ETL job. And second thing is a notebook thing. When you're developing an ML based solution, let's say, you can use this glue notebook over here. So you can use glue notebook, and interactively you can see how your code behaves. So this way you can use glue notebook. And the third thing is a custom script editor. if you notice, we have this option Spark shell, sorry, Python shell, Ray, Spark. Since we are going to go with a Spark today, let me try to create this script. So by default, this is the Spark context will be available for us in default. So on an high level, Spark also follows. Spark is a distributed framework. It will process the files in a distributed way. It handles. It goes with master node architecture. Again, we will be having a master and a multi node things. So master will be handling the metadata, and the data will be processed with multiple nodes. Multiple nodes will be processing the data in a distributed way, and then it will send back to the main driver, and and that will be responsible for writing into the destination. So this is what about. We have the script also ready. We are. I'll just take the script and I'll explain you what the script is. So our script is ready. So this is the main thing we may need to import. By default, this will comes by default. We don't need to worry about. We need make sure we have this dynamic frame enabled. And if you have any custom parameters, job parameters, try to include your parameters in this particular arc section. And here I'm enabling a Spark context. From Spark context, uh, I'm getting a glue context. From glue context, I'm instantiating a Spark variable. So this is the thing I will be using a Spark over here. And coming to the input path, I'm just going to read from S3. So this is my S3 path. If you notice, my bucket name is also AWS UG demo around 5813, and this is my input prefix. These are all the key things we may need to provide it over here. So the first thing is connection type. S3. We have multiple connections type available. We can go with S3, Aurora, Redshift, RDS. We can go with multiple connection type, even JDBC. If you have a custom connection type, even you can specify a connection type as JDBC and you can go again. And paths. We have an option of providing a paths in a list. You can pass a multiple paths. Since we are dealing with a single path over here, I'm just passing it single path, but you have a flexibility to add as a comma separated value as well. And I'm using this recurse as true because it needs to parse through each and every folder. And what's my format is? My format is CSV. We can go with a JSON, Parquet, Avro, anything. It supports most of the format, even custom format too. And my format option, it should be with header as true and separator as comma. By default, CSV is a comma separated value, but if you have anything, let's say CSV is a pipe delimiter, you need to make sure your separator is properly using a proper delimiter thing. And next thing is, this is the key thing in for making a glue bookmark enable. This transformation context needs to be as some name. For now, I'm using the data source, the df name itself. So I'm using the same name. This is the key thing when you are making sure you are running a glue enabled bookmark. Yes. And going on to the next thing, I am converting this to a dynamic frame to a Spark data frame. So this 2df just converts my Spark dynamic frame to a Spark data frame. And for the sake of simplicity, I'm just doing a minor transformation. I'm appending a column called processed timestamp. This is my current timestamp. I'm just appending it, and I'm converting this back to a dynamic frame again, and I'm writing this back to a S3 as a Parquet file. If you notice again, this time here I have used a create dynamic frame, and here I am using a write dynamic frame. These are all the glue's internal APIs belongs to a dynamic frame package, and which dynamic frame which I am writing it to an S3. This is the dynamic frame I am writing back to an S3, and the connection type again is S3, and my output path where it needs to be written. If you notice, the input path was in an array, but output path was a single value. It will not support an array value. And how I need to partition I'm just partitioning it by department. This is completely optional. Even if you are passing without this, this will going to work fine. And what's the format I'm going to write, and the transformation context. The transformation context, even this is important for a bookmark. And last, this is a plays a crucial role. This job dot commit is the one which commits it to an what file got processed. So two key things we identified. One is a transformation context. That's the thing we may need to provide. And second thing is a job dot commit. This is the key things. This is the second key thing we may need to provide. And one more thing, for a bookmark enabled job, we may need to read it via dynamic frame. Only if you are reading it via dynamic frame, then it will be able to process the files. Now, we in the slide we see four important things for a bookmark enabled jobs. In script itself, we saw three. The other one is we'll get into job details, advanced properties. We'll search for a bookmark. If you notice, by default, the job comes with in Glue 5.0 version. Job bookmarks component comes in a disabled state. We have three different state over here: enable, pass, disable. Let me try to enable it here, and we may need a IAM role. I'll just use a test glue role. This test glue role is nothing but I provided all the permission to glue and S3, and let me go again and UG demo bookmark job. Let me try to name this name like this, and I'll hit on save. So the job is brand new. There are no runs available, and we can enable data quality as well if requires. But that's not the main thing. We are not going to do here. We can schedule the job as well, and we have this version control as well. We have multiple sources available on this version control. We can check what we want. And going back to the script, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to this particular path, glue bookmark test, and I'm going to upload my first file over here. Let me try to upload my first file. So this is the first file I'm going to upload. Assume today is the 1st January 2026. Yeah. So I'm uploading it. So my file got uploaded successfully. I can see the file is available over here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this job. Let's run this job. And one question, while running the job, we'll try to understand how this job keeps track of its. We see we enable the job bookmark. We provided a transformation context. We provided a job dot commit. But how where the glue stores? Hey, today process these files. Where it will store this information? Any idea, guys? Maybe you can post your answers on the chat. We'll also understand where it stores that. Whether maybe I can give you an option like whether is it storing on some managed DB, or whether is it storing on a CloudWatch, or whether it's storing on an S3. What will be your pick over here? The job will not take more than 1 2 minutes of time, since we are dealing with a less number of data. Also, we
Also,
can
we can
see the
see
log.
the log.
Yeah, we have log as well over here. We can see the log stream will be created in CloudWatch for us. Let it runs. Yeah, we got the log stream over here. We haven't logged things over here. but we can use some transformation over here, dot show dot count, so that it will be helping us. So most probably the job is going to over it in a bit. Yeah, the job got succeeded now. So what we can do is, let me get on to this file again. Now I'll get on to the glue bookmark output. If you notice, this glue bookmark output was created automatically. We were writing into an S3. Even we used a partition key as a department. If you notice, even in our data, we're able to see the department as data, engineering, finance, HR. We have four different departments. The four different departments got partition. And if we get on to this particular thing, we provided the file type as a parquet too. So we'll try to see what this file contains. Let me try to run this SQL query. Okay, maybe I'll try to, since this is a parquet thing. Okay, let me try to read it in a CSV format. Okay, let it be. Um, this is not visible right now. Okay, what I can do is, we'll see where the processed file is got stored. The Parquet data contains an actual data with an processed timestamp field. If you open that, if you read that particular Parquet file, you can see all these four columns along with the processed timestamp. This is how the file will look like. Let me get on to an where the glue stores its state. That's the main thing we may need to understand. So to understand that, I'll get on to this job details again. I have something called this temporary path. Let me get into this temporary path. So this is another S3 bucket. Even we have the flexibility to change it to our own S3 bucket. But I left it to default. So it created it new, and it has this temporary folder. If you notice the partition listing, and I have something called what's our job name. The job name was UG demo bookmark job. I have this UG demo bookmark job, and this is the job run ID. If you notice, let me get into this job run. You can see the job run ID here. It ends with B0F. You can see even it ends with B0F. The job run ID of it's matching with it is, this will be my job run ID. And this data source dot input files dot json. Where this data source is coming from? This data source is nothing but the transformation context name what we have provided. If you notice the line number 37, we have provided this transformation CTX as data source, right? So this is the name being used over here, data source. This input files.json is the default name which appends by default. So what I'll do is, let me try to download this particular file. Let me open this. Let me get onto downloads. Let me open this. Yeah. Fine. So what was the path I have used and what files I processed? So if you notice, the files was, this is the only file we uploaded. This is the file it processed. So what was the path it used? So this is how it tracks the how the glue processed its files. So it by default now you got an answer where it stores its state. S3 was the answer. In S3 where the temporary path you have provided on your job detail section of your glue job. That's the path it stores. Now what I'll do is, I'll get on to this particular section again. Now I'm going to upload my second file. Today is 2nd January, let's say. Now my both the files are residing on the same location, 01 01 2026 02 01 2026. Now my bookmark enabled job needs to process this second file alone. It shouldn't be considering the first file. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trigger a run again. Let's see what it processes now. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes, and we'll see what it happens. And I'll just go through on the 2 minute window. What I'll do is we'll see what are all the job details section available over here. So when you are choosing Spark as your runtime, we have this option. Either you can choose Spark or Spark streaming. This is the key thing. When you are designing a streaming kind of application, you can go ahead and use your Spark streaming here. And when it comes to Glue version, we have 5 different versions available. This is going to keep on updated by AWS. We may need to understand the differences among this. If you notice, 2.0 supports 2.4. You can see the Spark versions keep on upgrading on all the versions. Even if you notice, they are just mentioning the major version of Python. If you get into the in details, you can see Glue 5.0 supports Python 3.12. Glue 5.1 supports Python 3.14. So that will be the minor differences coming in. And Scala also the same. And the language, we have two different language. Either we can go with the Python 3 or Scala. And this is one of the great option provided by AWS. uh, Previously we were discussing about dynamically scaling the workers, right? That's one of the custom way. This is one of the managed way provided by AWS. We can easily choose how we can scale the number of workers. This is a kind of a vertical scaling concept. If we are enabling this, we can give what's the maximum number of workers it should be using. So the numbers will be within that particular workers. It will not cross the maximum number of workers. In this case, the maximum number of workers is 10. So even though if you are getting a TBs of data, it may not cross the 10 number of workers. But the occasion subsequently the runtime of the job may increase too. So this is one of the kind of, they will call it as a flex execution. This is available only after Glue 3.0. If you take this Glue 2.0 version, we will not be available that particular particular option. So it's available only after Glue 3.0. So you know that what job bookmark is, and if you want to enable the job run queuing, we can enable that. And this is a flex execution. We were discussing that. And what's the timeout of the job we may need to provide. By default it comes with 480, but it's purely it's our according to our business use case we can provide it. We can give the timeout till 2 days, somewhere around 4880 minutes, I guess. And how many time your job needs to be retried. If it is getting failed, how many time it needs to be retried. So next, where your script resides, whether you need to capture job metrics, job observability metrics, whether you need to enable the Spark UI. So if you're enabling a Spark UI, Spark UI is one of the beautiful thing to identify how your Spark job works. So if you notice, let's say your Spark job is running a more time for a larger time. Generally, how Spark job runs is it will break into a multiple terminologies called jobs stages. So when you hit a run, it will just breaks into a multiple jobs and multiple stages. So you can see how many jobs and how many stages got created, and if your job is getting failed, you can understand from the Spark UI why it is getting failed actually. So this is an actually a great feature to understand when it comes to troubleshooting, and whether my job can run concurrently. So right now, by default, it comes with one. We can enable it to our required number and temporary path. Whether you need Glue data catalog as Hive Metastore, you can enable it or not. And if you're using connections, let's say you are using an RDS, you are trying to, for now, we are taking the data from S3, and we are dumping into an S3. So we don't need any connection. But in real scenario, we may need to encounter with Amazon RDS, Aurora, or Redshift to get the data. So during that time, we may need to create a connection and we need to associate it here. We can't keep a glue job within a VPC. So most probably our RDS instance or Redshift will reside within a VPC. So to get a connection to into a VPC, it is really necessary to associate a connection over here. And if you are using any custom module library, you can provide it over here. And if you are using any additional Python, Glue comes with the default set of Python packages. If you want more packages, let's say I need to encrypt my data. So if you want your encrypt your data, PyAES is one of the option. PyAES is not enabled by default in Glue, so you can provide a PyAES over here, so that it will use PyAES as your it will easily install the PyAES when you hit a run. And if you want parameter, if you want to provide start date, one thing is we may need to provide hyphen. So start date I'm giving as 2026 hyphen 01 hyphen 01. So these are all some of the job parameters you need to provide it over here. And as always, specifying tags are important things for grouping the resources. It is always a good practice to create a resource with the tags. So these are all the job details section. We'll go to the runs again. Yeah, the job got succeeded again. So I'll get into a partition list folder again. So this is my job name, and I have two different job run IDs now. So what I'll do is I am on my second job. Let me copy this job run ID and search it over here. This is the job run ID. Previously it was BOF and now it's 8BB. I can see it as 8BB. Yes. So I'll get on to this 8BB. Let me download this particular file. We'll see what it has. Yes. So if you notice, this file is contains only 0201 2026. Previously, the file was contained 01 only. Now it was able to track only 02 was the newly updated one. It was able to track the newly updated file and it was able to process. That was one of the great feature of the job bookmarks. So this is one of the brief demo I thought of providing it over here. Maybe we'll, for the sake of summarization, what we'll do is we'll try to understand this in a screenshots perspective as well. So we need to provide the temporary path in our glue job, and within the temporary job, a folder called partition list will be created. And within the partition listing folder, I have a glue job name, and within that particular job name I can see the multiple job run IDs, and within that I can see the transformation context dot input files dot json. When I open that, I can see what's the path it used and what are all the files it got processed. This is one of an actual screen. This is an actual production scenario. If you notice, it got processed these much number of files. This is one of the automobile customer where these much number of files got processed on today's run. And yes, this is the thing I thought of covering. Maybe I'll try to uh, get on to the Q&A section, and we'll answer a few questions over there.
Okay, so great session. I also personally learned a bit. Just give me a second. I'm just
Yeah, I don't know. Meanwhile, there was a questions in the chat. So about a SCD, I will come back to the question. So the in the glue
yeah.
bookmark tracks file, right? Not row level changes, and then how it process the SCD updates.
Yes,
Awesome.
there was
That
a
was
two-part question. So it's like first thing is like how do they actually handle upserts or SED scenarios? The follow-up question is that how does it also track files and not row level changes, and the questions around it. So I have also put it up in the screen for your reference. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, that was a great question, Yogesh. So, if you are trying to get a row level changes, so what we have seen was a file level changes. So, if you want to get a row level changes, I would suggest to go with a register the file as a crawl that particular thing and register it as a table within your catalog. So, instead of reading it from the particular S3 path, you can try to read it from the glue catalog, so that if anything got updated or upserts, any upserts or updates are being added over there, you can easily get it from the catalog, and you can maintain it on your destination, Yogesh. uh, if you have a requirement of handling SCD 2, it is really necessary to go it via, I would suggest you to go via catalog instead of reading it from the S3 path.
Okay, that's nice. I have also have a couple of basic questions. Maybe it will help wider audience as well. Maybe now
Absolutely.
or who people who come little later to rewatch this video. So the thing is, if these are some basic questions that people usually ask, like what happens if I just re-upload the same file name with the corrected rows, then would the bookmark really skip it or would it reprocess that? How does it
Yeah,
work?
actually, that's a great question, Vivek. By default, we have this, even though if we have a same file name, the timestamp is going to differ. So by that
Mm-hmm.
time, the glue again it will be considered as a new file, so that it will be processing as a new file, Vivek.
Okay, great. And so that means there was almost a similar question. So even if I have a similar same files, old files, but with the same prefix, in that scenario also due to the timestamp changes, will it reprocess them again?
Yeah, this is actually, we may need to identify. This is a kind of a backfill scenario, I would say. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in a retail pipeline, for example, if we are migrating right now, the data was getting into RDS, let's say, for some point of time. Again, there is some requirement coming in, and we may need to push all the data to Redshift. So Redshift will
Mm-hmm.
not contain any data as a new now. So we may need to backfill the older data into Redshift for a smoother analytics dashboard. So during that time, we may need to backfill the data. So that's why, even in the bookmark enabled job, we will be going with the start date and end date concept. I will be just
Got it.
providing the in a bookmark enabled job. If I copy the old files again, since the timestamp is getting changed, a bookmark will get confused and reprocess all the things again. To avoid that,
Okay.
what we can do is we can keep the same S3 path as a source, and we can provide the start date and end date from the Jan 1, 2026 to 30th October 2026, let's say. This is the thing we may need to backfill. We can give the start date and end date, and we may need to write a custom method. And main thing is, in the other workflow, we will not be committing the things. In a bookmark
Okay.
enable, there are two conditional flow, right? One is an incremental flow, and another is an ad hoc
Mm-hmm.
flow. An ad hoc flow, I
Correct.
will not be committing my job, but an incremental flow, I will
Mm-hmm.
be committing my job, so that it will be able to backfill the data easily, Vivek.
Okay, okay, that's really nice. I think there's also one more follow-up question from Yogesh while he was trying to understand around these parts. So, given his previous questions around how does it do the ST1, ST2 changes, does like if you take the bookmark into whole context, does it also control what file does it get to read and what gets to maintain?
Yes, actually, this file is a kind of a state of truth, I would say. The point of truth, actually. This
Mm-hmm.
file can't be altered. There is some rarest chances that bookmark may corrupt. For example,
Okay,
so even we have an option of, for example, even we can recover the corrupted bookmark using some
mm-hmm.
strategy. We have some strategies available. We can
Okay,
bring that actually, and uh, like, it just control what the question was, just control what files get read. It is
yes.
not about the files. We just seen an example as a files today, but in a real scenario, we will be dealing with the DBs actually. We will be
Mm-hmm.
getting it from the databases, and we will be getting it over it. It's not about file. Even it can get into any type of the DBs or warehouses, anything it can be.
Got it. Got it. Abhinay, also thanks for you to being available to answer these questions. You also answered on similar lines. Maybe Abhinay, if you have anything to add on Arun's comments and answers.
Yeah, hi Vivek. So I think Sharon has answered the question. So someone has asked about the logs, how to check it on the UI. I think there is one question
Yes.
on glue job failure, and I think there will be option in the UI itself to go to the run details, and then you can able to, there will be option of CloudWatch logs. Then you can able to spot out you can go to the error logs, and then you can able to get it over it.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Thanks for that as well. So, thank you both of you speakers. You have really, we have a couple of questions coming up from regular attendees as well as people who are engaged in the session, and we were also able to clear a couple of doubts which were lingering in our mind. So, thank you for that. I really enjoyed both of your session. It was very informative for me to brush up on the concepts which I was not touching for a long time. Of course, it might also help me with my certifications. And any closing remarks from both of you before we conclude?
Yeah, it was a great opportunity and interact with the people. And great questions, by the way, Vivek. I loved the questions actually.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Thanks to the entire audience as well. Yeah.
Thank you Vivek for the opportunity, and Bopalan as well, and for arranging the live. Yeah.
So, and I'm also looking forward to ACD Chennai. And folks, as you know, it's coming up next month, and you also have got the discount coupon. So feel free to apply and get the tickets at the discounted rate. And hope you guys to see in sessions, which is much more interactive and live and much more in bigger scale. So I would totally recommend you guys to go there. And with that being said, we have successfully concluded the first edition of Builder Skill Sprint of 2026 for February month, which is analytics. So the checkpoint one is today, where we have talked about and learned about how we need to process data ingestion and processing. We learned a lot around how to do it in batch processing and how we need to do it in stream processing. And we also learned a lot around how job bookmarks work with an amazing demo. With that being said, the next checkpoint is that we'll be soon releasing a hands-on challenge problem statement, which you can pick up and implement and see how that comes up with you guys. And we'll also release the platform that we've been talking about for you to come and log your answers and your submissions and your participation. And with that, that is going to be the next action items. Stay tuned, and you can also keep in touch with us in two ways. One is in the meetup.com, and the second one is in social media, where we have been actively posting around not just our events but also happenings that occur in other communities as well as the latest AWS updates. So thank you for everyone for joining in, and then we have also has a couple of thank yous coming up from the comment session as well. And if you guys missed out today's session, or if you're before taking up your hands-on challenge, do come and revisit this session because it might give you more insights. And also stay tuned to us and much more closer in the WhatsApp community, and we'll be sharing a lot of resources. There are a couple of interesting conversations that always comes up in the WhatsApp as well, where we talk about something new releases and everything. So feel free to jump in and hop into our conversations. With that being said, it's almost noon on Sunday, so I think the meals might be getting ready. So go ahead and grab them and have a nice Sunday afternoon lunch and a good nap after that. And thank you for joining in for a early morning learning session. And I hope so that was quite productive start to your Sunday morning and the rest of the week as well. So thank you, Arun and Abhinay, personally from our end, from our user group Madurai, and looking forward to host you in another session as well. So thank you guys, and thank you both of you.
Yeah. Thank you, Vivek. Have a great day. Bye bye.